Hello again. Before we go on, there's just time to mention that our title music is Country Rock Polka, composed by Pat Prilly, Ferdinand Bouillon and Harry Breur. It's performed by Jean-Jacques Perret, who's kindly given his permission for us to use it. And now here's Angela with the first item of sport.
Okay, this is football. A lack of cutting edge proved costly for Enfield Town as they suffered a 1-0 defeat at Metropolitan Police in the Ryman Premier Division on Tuesday night. Although the visitors dominated the game for long spells, they were unable to turn their pressure into goals and were made to pay when Steve Sutherland made the decisive breakthrough with 18 minutes remaining. Enfield Town host Felixstowe and Walton United in the FA Cup on Saturday, 3 p.m, before entertaining Big Spending Margate on Tuesday at 7:45 p.m. Bradley Quinton is targeting a good run in the FA Cup season as Enfield Town prepare to make their entrance into the world-famous competition. Town have yet to make a significant impact in the FA Cup since their formation, with their best run seeing them reach the third qualifying round in 2010 before eventually being beaten by Boreham Wood. But as they get to host Felixstowe and Walton United side, who play 2 levels below them in the Eastern Counties League Premier Division in the first qualifying round of the competition this weekend, manager Quinton is looking for his players to make a big impact this time around. Quinton's dream start as a manager has come to an end in the past week as Town have suffered defeats and at the hands of table-topping Maidstone United and Metropolitan Police, which have left them in 18th place in the Ryman Premier Division table. While the side was very much second best against Maidstone as they were beaten 4-0, Town more than held their own against Met Police, only to be let down by the lack of a cutting edge as they lost 1-0. And with his side having scored only 12 times in 10 league matches, the manager is well aware of a need for improvement in front of goal. Enfield 1893 picked up their first point of the season on Saturday as they drew 0-0 at Southend Manor in the Essex Senior League. The E's had Scott Curley taking charge of the side for the first time after he was appointed manager following the resignation of Paul Norris in the wake of the humbling 10-1 defeat at the hands of Haringey Borough. Curley, who will be player manager, will be assisted by Danny Allen and his former clubs including Barkingside, Braintree Town, Leighton, Redbridge, East Thurrock United, AFC Hornchurch, Averley and Harlow Town. Enfield 1893 hosts Tower Hamlets on Saturday at 3 p.m. And now here's Audrey with the cricket.
Thank you. Southgate can look forward to playing in the top flight of the Middlesex County Cricket League next year after securing promotion from Division 2 as the season came to a dramatic climax on Saturday. Southgate went into their match at Harrow lying 4th in the table, but a 3-wicket win, secured with just 4 balls to spare, was enough for them to climb above both Shepherd's Bush and Brentham and seal the second promotion place. A difficult season for Winchmore Hill ended in fittingly disappointing fashion on Saturday as they slumped to an 8-wicket defeat in their derby match at Enfield in Division 2 of the Middlesex County Cricket League.
Rugby. Hat-trick hero David Strettle expressed his delight after he played a key role in ensuring that Saracens began their Aviva Premiership campaign by snatching a last-gasp 34-28 win over Wasps in the London double-header at Twickenham on Saturday. Despite racing into a 20-9 lead by half-time, Sarries looked to be in danger of defeat when they fell 28-20 behind with 20 minutes remaining. However, they were not to be denied, as Strettle claimed his second and third tries of the match, with the decisive score coming in at the last minute to secure a bonus point triumph. Enfield Ignatians suffered a narrow 35-31 defeat in their final pre-season friendly at Old Merchant Taylor's School on Saturday. A closely fought encounter, played over 4 quarters, saw both teams score 5 tries, but it was the hosts' more accurate goal-kicking which proved the decisive factor. Enfield Ignatians begin their league campaign at South Woodham Ferrers on Saturday. And now it's back to Angela with the news.
Vandals have completely wrecked an abandoned building by painting graffiti on the front and squatting inside. The Man Building in Crown Road on the junction with Southbury Road, Enfield, has been used for illegal raves and parties in the last few months. Formerly used as a car factory, the Grade 2 listed building closed down more than a year ago, and Enfield Borough Council is now looking for a new owner. David Cockle, the chairman of the Enfield Society, has been left concerned by the way the building has fallen into disrepair. He said it was once a very nice manicured garden, but now it's just been completely wrecked. It's a huge shame. I recently discovered squatters have been on the site and it's generally in a deplorable state. It doesn't give a good impression to the people visiting the area for the first time. It is such a high-profile site and one we should be proud of, but now it just looks awful. And earlier this year, people in nearby Anglesey Road said their houses were shaking like an earthquake after an illegal rave. The party included loud music and continued until 3 a.m. the next afternoon, a total of 15 hours. Graffiti tags have now been emblazoned on the front of the building, which has been boarded up. Mr. Cockle, 62, added, "For a listed building to be left like that, it's terrible. The plants and shrubs are overgrown too. It's so sad to see it run down. It used to be such an attractive building."
What a shame. The body responsible for commissioning health services in the borough has appointed a new chairman, Mo Abidi, a GP at the East Enfield Medical Practice in High Street, Ponders End, and Brick Lane Surgery in Enfield Highway, is taking charge of the board of the Enfield Clinical Commissioning Group. The Enfield Clinical Commissioning Group is responsible for commissioning health services, including elective hospital care, emergency care, and mental health services. Dr. Abidi, who previously served as the CCG's medical director, replaces Alpesh Patel, a GP at White Lodge Medical Centre in Silver Street, Enfield, who had been in the chair since April last year, when CCGs took over from Primary Care Trusts. Dr. Abidi said, "I welcome the opportunity to lead the CCG in our next stage of development. I am very excited about the challenges ahead and committed to achieving our aims to improve the health of our population." He was previously Clinical Director for Enfield Primary Care Trust, led the CCG's Primary Care Strategy Programme, and has a number of interests in private health care firms. He is a Director and shareholder in Medicare Medical Services, LLP, which runs the Evergreen Primary Care Centre in Smythe Close, Edmonton. Medicare is a joint venture between Equity Health and HWH Group Limited, the holding company of Harmony, a major primary care business which started as a GP cooperative and is now owned by Care UK.
A man has been arrested on suspicion of dangerous driving after a passenger in a lorry died following a collision on the North Circular Road. Police were called to reports of an overturned lorry on the A406 at about 8:30 yesterday morning, that was Wednesday, near the IKEA Edmonton Superstore at the junction of Hall Lane with the North Circular. The 54-year-old passenger was treated by the London Ambulance Service at the scene before being pronounced dead at 9:26 a.m. No other vehicles were involved. The 49-year-old lorry driver was arrested and remained in police custody at the time of going to press. Police officers from the Serious Collision Investigation Unit based at Chadwell Heath Traffic Garage are investigating the incident and are appealing for witnesses.
Parents say closed steps at Footbridge crossing Wilmer Way and Bowes Road with schools either side of it poses a threat to hundreds of pupils who have just started the new academic year. The bridge is used by pupils and parents of Broomfield Secondary School and Bowes Primary, as well as many commuters from Arnos Grove Tube Station nearby. Steps to the bridge have been blocked off since April. With the return of pupils to school this week, the issue of road safety is of great concern to parents once again. Access to the footbridge can still be made via long wheelchair and cycling ramps on a less steep incline further down the road from the steps. However, residents say it takes much longer to walk along these ramps than the steps, and pupils will not be bothered to use these ramps to cross safely, especially if they are late for school. Richard McKeever, who runs Community Forum Bows and Bounds Green Connected, said, "The reality is kids won't use these ramps and will run across the busy motorway instead." Residents say that the reason for the closure of the footbridge appears to be unstable pins supporting the stairs, which have come apart from the structure. However, to fix this seemingly small structure is becoming more complicated than it seems. Alan Sitkin, a councillor for Bowes Ward, said, "The issue here is that the road and the bridge do not actually belong to the council, but to Transport for London. TfL is not accountable to the council, but the London Assembly, unfortunately though, TfL's objectives do not match our own. We have been putting pressure on TfL for quite a while now to change this, and have even got London Assembly representative Joanne McCartney involved," added Mr Sitkin. The bridge was built as part of the A406 redevelopment about 18 months ago, one of the main supporting arguments for which was a reduction in road-related deaths. The Advertiser asked TfL for a response to Mr Sitkin's comments, but one was not received by the time we went to press.
If Age UK does what is best for each person, as Mr Ford claims, perhaps he can tell us how many people attended his week-long hearing advice clinic in Enfield, and how many of them were signposted to the NHS. Mr Ford's brand of soft soap that Age UK aims to find the best solution for every patient and advises on all the choices available doesn't match his own advertising, which makes no mention of the free NHS alternative and sells Age UK your first choice for hearing solutions. The price of their hearing aids is never mentioned. Age UK merely offers clearer hearing at a price you can afford, and up to 50% less than high street prices. Our forum cannot understand why Age UK Enfield is currently seeking to persuade older people to spend hard-earned money buying a hearing aid from a private company just for profit. It's an American-based company which cannot possibly offer the continuous aftercare service provided by Chase Farm Hospital's audiology department. I would have thought that if Age UK was so attached to the NHS, it would have at least sought to be recognised and applied for a qualified provider status, as other private sector companies have done. Mr Ford also asked us to believe that all profits are gift-aided back to help fund our charitable activity. This sounds so altruistic, ethical and principled, but does it mean that the company called UK Hearing Care Management Services Limited in January 2013, with a capital of just £1 solely to promote and sell hearing aids using the well-respected Age UK brand name, will not be remitting any profits to its financial backers, Starkey Laboratories based in Minnesota, USA? We question whether their after-service care compares with the National Health Service, supplying the most modern digital hearing aids available, free, following referral from your GP, and a thorough screening test at Chase Farm Hospital, which services more than 25,000 patients and has done so since the inception of the NHS in 1948. The Chase Farm Audiology Service also has 2 hearing therapists who deal with different aspects of hearing balance and tinnitus problems. They work closely with Enfield Social Services and can supply environmental equipment for television, phones, doorbells, etc. A service Age UK Hearing Aid cannot possibly match and should not be trying to. And that was Monty Meth, the spokesperson and president for Enfield Over 50s Forum.
A hunt has been launched for a con artist who pretended to be a police officer before he ransacked the home of an elderly couple in Cockfosters last week. A smartly dressed man called at an address in Sussex Way at about 7:30 p.m. on Monday, asking to talk to them about crime prevention. After he was let in, the con man, who is described as white, 6 foot, and aged 25 to 30, and was wearing a dark suit, said he needed to conduct a search of the home, during which he stole the couple's jewellery and cash. Detective Constable Ryan Clark of Enfield Police said, "I'm keen to identify this man and urge anyone with information to contact me without delay." And my words of advice are that if somebody comes to your house with a similar offer, then close the door, because they'll be quite happy to wait outside, and dial 101 and check.
Good advice there. Patrons of a pub at the heart of the community have joined together against plans to turn their drinking hole into a restaurant. The Cock and Dragon pub in Chalk Lane, Cockfosters, is due to close in January next year and to be turned into a Miller and Carter steakhouse. Since the plans were announced, more than 3,600 people have liked a Facebook page called Save the Cock and Dragon in opposition to the proposals. Zoe Packman, 39, who started this group, said, "I love this pub, and so do most of the community around here, and we really don't want to see it go. It is the only pub in the area, and it's the place where lots of people come to meet friends. It's been part of the area for hundreds of years, and it is an important place. It would be devastating if it was to change, because there's nowhere else for us to go." Matthew Linsky, 45, who has been drinking at the pub since he was 18 years old, said, "This pub was part of my growing up, which is the same for a lot of people. There is a village community around Cockfosters, and this pub is at the heart of it, and it's the only thing that keeps it together." Fellow patron Christopher Evans, 70, who has been a regular at the pub for 45 years, said, "It will be a loss to the area. People love coming to visit, and it still is very popular with families. We don't want to lose a pub for it to be replaced with a generic meat restaurant." The pub is owned and managed by the Orchid Group of Pubs, which was recently taken over by Mitchells and Butlers, owner of the Miller and Carter brand. Steve DiPolo from the Orchid Group met with the campaigners at the pub on Saturday to discuss the plans. Speaking to the Enfield Independent, he said, "We've been really pleasantly surprised by the response and how people have showed that they really care about their local pub. We are here to talk to people about the proposals and understand people's concerns. The proposals are a long way into planning stages now, but we will listen and consider people's views about the pub."
The wife of a man who has motor neuron disease has taken part in the Ice Bucket Challenge on Facebook to raise awareness of this disease. Davina Rivers of Gordon Road, Enfield, doused herself in ice-cold water to raise money for research into the condition. Her husband Eric was diagnosed with a degenerative disease in July 2010. "My youngest daughter held the camera while I threw the bucket of ice water over myself," she said. "Back when I did a skydive earlier in the year, I just wanted to scream to get people to sit up and pay attention and understand about this horrible disease. If I had known that all it would be to raise people's awareness about this disease is a bucket of ice water, I might not have jumped out of a plane thousands of feet in the air." The challenge, in which people donate to the Motor Neuron Disease Association after being doused in a bucket of ice water, involves nominations where the victim passes on the challenge to others. Since videos of celebrities taking part in the challenge went viral last month, more than £6 million has been raised in the UK alone. Davina has revealed she has not just limited her nominations to the usual 2 or 3 people, but has nominated all of the Hornsey cricket team, who will now have to take the challenge. Over the past 4 years, Davina has become a leading light in the campaign to raise money and awareness about the disease.
I remember seeing a television program about Eric and his wife and their children, and it was one of those things where they make over the house. And do you remember seeing that? It was an amazing difference it made to his life. Okay, here's a letter from Kate Wilkinson, who is a Save Chase Farm campaigner. "It's not every day you get to meet campaigners who have marched 300 miles from Jarrow to London to highlight the importance of our NHS. On Friday evening, I had the great privilege to meet the group when they arrived in Edmonton, having passed North Middlesex Hospital. On Saturday, the final stretch from Edmonton to Trafalgar Square marked the end of their 3-week journey. There they were met by many, many thousands of campaigners. I know, I saw the pictures on Twitter. The group was calling for an end to the relentless hospital cuts and closures throughout the country. The group also called for the 2012 Health and Social Care Act, passed to soften up the NHS ready for further privatisation, to be repealed. The situation in the NHS is still very bleak. Central Middlesex and Hammersmith hospitals were both due to lose their frontline services on September the 10th, despite the admission that the promised alternative provision is not all in place, and once again the remaining A&Es have no spare capacity. Sounds familiar? I was therefore surprised that the rally itself was such an inspiring and positive experience. Things are slowly beginning to change. More and more people are now aware of creeping privatisation. Campaigners from all over the country can no longer be ignored. Perhaps the most inspiring stories were those shared among the crowd. Next to me stood a man named Jeff Berryman, an 82-year-old campaigner from Durham who had marched nearly all the way. When he could not continue, only about 2 miles before the end, his courage inspired the police to provide him with his own personal escort. Marchers also told me that along their 3-week march they had not once had to pay for accommodation or food, thanks to the compassion and hospitality of those met along the route. Morrison's in Enfield should be thanked for providing free food for the group on arrival at Edmonton.
What a fantastic effort. And now words from Monty Meth, Life President of Enfield's Over 50s Forum. I doubt if I will live long enough to see the worldwide Older People's Day on Wednesday, October the 1st, celebrated widely as Mother's Day or Father's Day. But we are having a go this year by offering 200 people the chance to make new friends, have a free hot lunch, and pick up some tips on keeping healthy and warm this winter. You may be well asking why, when we've had one of the best summers for many years, is he banging on about a cold winter ahead? The answer is simple. I want to shake us out of the complacency that allowed 31,000 older people to die in the winter of 2012-13, and above the normal number of deaths in the winter as a direct result of the cold weather. Statistics say this is going to be an excessive of winter deaths. Who knows or who cares that in 2011-12 winter, Enfield recorded 179 excessive winter deaths, the 10th highest figure out of 326 councils in England. Last winter, there were 147 excess winter deaths in Enfield. Imagine the nationwide uproar if there were to be 147 premature deaths among Enfield's children in a year. Are we now saying that as a caring country, when 147 of our fellow citizens die, it does not matter because they are old? That's why we're having a Beat the Winter Cold, Beat the Winter Flu Day at the Art Zone in Market Square, Edmonton. If you'd like to come along, just call the Forum office on 0208 807 2076. That's 0208 807 2076. Or email info@enfieldover50sforum.org.uk.
On September the 6th, 84 golfers played at Whitewebb's golf course to raise money for Enfield Breast Cancer Support Group, a branch of Cancer Research UK. Over the day, £2,667 was raised from not only the golf but raffles and an auction. Can I thank all those who so generously donated prizes? Mill Hill, Bush Hill Park, Cruise Hill and Enfield Golf Clubs, the Enfield Tandoori Restaurant, the Toby Restaurant and Roll-in-One Cafe in Whitewebb's Park, Gary and Chris, the pro and assistant pro in Whitewebb's golf course, and all who did so anonymously. Thanks to the captain of Whitewebb's Golf Club, Mick Moriarty, the volunteers on the course and in the clubhouse, and the ladies from Enfield Breast Cancer Support Group, all who made the day run so smoothly. And finally, a big thank you to all the golfers who took part, and others just passing by who were so generous for this worthwhile charity. And that's a thank you message from Doreen Rolfe of Cecil Avenue, Enfield.
A woman took the plunge as she dropped from 13,000 feet in the name of charity. Lisa McKissack of Enfield plummeted towards the ground at speeds of 120 miles an hour in a skydive challenge for Just a Drop Water charity. Ms. McKissack, pictured left during the dive, she looks very happy, but wow, I'm glad it wasn't me, is part of Cambridge Weight Plan Group, who are hoping to raise £50,000 in 2014 for the charity's project in Makueni County in Kenya. She said, "I've always wanted to jump out of a plane, and when I found out that Cambridge Weight Plan was supporting Just a Drop, I thought it would be the perfect opportunity to do my own drop and raise some funds at the same time. I'm so close to my target of raising £1,000, and all donations will make a big difference, not to mention the fear factor. Worthwhile."
A care home has raised almost £1,000 at its annual summer fete. Azalea Court in Bushell Park welcomed guests to take part in their fun day, which included a variety of stalls, a raffle, a guess the weight of the cake competition, and a beat the goalie tournament. The money will go towards the residents' fund, which is used to provide entertainment at the care home. A spokesman for Azalea Court said, "Our fete was a fantastic success and we are delighted to have raised so much money. We were very pleased to welcome the Mayor and all our visitors, and everyone had a great time. We can't wait to do it all again next year." The care home also held a Mad Hatter-themed tea party for the National Care Home Open Day.
Well, we've reached the end of our programme for this week. Don't forget, your reader's representative, Diane de Jersey, is on 020 8805 6578. That's 020 8805 6578. If you need any help with a talking newspaper or memory sticks or anything you like. And please remember to turn over the address label on your postal packet, put the cassette into the packet and return it to us as soon as possible so we can send out the next edition. And that will be with you in 1 week's time. Thanks for being with us. From me, Malcolm, Audrey, John, Angela, Colin and Jason, goodbye.
Bye.